We'll jump into it. This week was our first full mission, so pretty exciting, to get up to this point and then beyond. We'll see how it improves. We're kind of, again, first large scale test, which I was actually quite happy with. We had over just shy of 7,500 foxes, I think, in total that had launched off on the first mission. So I think that's pretty solid, especially looking at our historical numbers. I think we try to hit around, I think it's closer to 5K a week. No, that's not entirely true. It should be more than 5K a week with fame only, but about 5K or so a week for chests, if not a little bit less than that. I thought that was pretty solid. So we'll start off with the two quality of life items that I put out today. The first one was actually went out earlier. I think it went out either Wednesday night or Thursday morning, so it wasn't included in the Wednesday announcement, but it was just updating the UI on both My Foxes and Dens pages. So for those of you that were kind of probably trying to go mess around with Dens or Foxes, you probably had gotten stuck or not seeing the fame transfer or something along those lines, right after you launched Foxes on the mission. And that's intentional. I know it's probably a little tricky right now. We're trying to figure out the best way of maximizing that time potential for people, but we want to give people the 24-hour time to take your foxes off the previous mission, get them ready, and get them launched onto the next mission within that day. So the new mission won't launch until tomorrow. There's a countdown for it, but once foxes are readied into that mission, you aren't able to customize the fox, add more fame to them, either via fame tokens or buying a Foxy or use a fame transfer. So that fox is committed at that level and is kind of locked in at that power, which is helpful for us. And then the same thing for Dens. Dens are valuable as a boost, especially with unique rooms and everything along those lines. So anyone that locks their den into a fox for the mission isn't able to modify the rooms of that den for that specific mission. Again, it's the same thing of locking in the power to the fox for that week's mission. So any tweaks you want to do to dens, etc., you have either any time throughout the week if you miss a mission and you still have the den or fox in your possession, or if you want to wait for that 1 day period. Right now, technically, you can go in, modify your dens, modify your foxes, get them ready for tomorrow, and then once you're happy with your squad, or as it gets closer to the end, you can go and send your fox off on missions. So it's kind of how I almost expect this new mission type to get to a world where people almost wait to the last minute to determine if they should or shouldn't launch their foxes, and then run into issues when they want to launch their foxes and their foxes don't end up going on that mission and they miss out anyway. I just could see that down the road being the better way to try to optimize as a user based off the stats that we do show for the amount of foxes and the average power for those foxes. So in any case, can't modify foxes or dens during a mission. And we've now added in states that just tell you that you can't modify, just as a gentle reminder for folks. Starting next week, so when we pulled the categories for this week, we got the beard stash, and we talked a little bit about it. We just decided to keep it to run it for the week, just because it's been a trait that we've had forever, and we actually have a den surrounding it and all that fun stuff. The same is true for Spy technically, but going forward, we want to even as part of our proposal for the new missions was to really make it more every fox friendly, and the way that we've had the eyes and mouth traits as part of our mission traits that we ended up picking. really was for a smaller subset of foxes, just to have like another category that we wanted to define out. But part of the mistake that we did there is we never categorized like every mouth, or like the rest of the mouths, such as the remaining mouths or the remaining eyes that were not captured by, sunglasses or, even like something as simple as pirate or vampire, with fangs or vampire, however you want to consider it. So because of that, we do have categories. We have categories for almost every head trait and body trait, the exception being some of the summons traits. And instead, what we did is we kind of recategorized some. So I think an example I put in here, monsters is an example. So in monsters, we have the vampire traits as well as the mummy, both head and body. And then I think we also had to double check to see if we included cyborg in there too. There might be like another trait more so geared towards monsters that falls into that category. And so we didn't redo every single thing, but we wanted to capture everything that's been missing from summons, and we'll probably optimize it going forward a little bit. At the end of the day, it's just it's a boost percentage for foxes. It's not making it non-inclusive for people, and us keeping it with the head and body traits just mean that in theory they come up more often for foxes that you own versus having these smaller niche certain traits that really aren't for everyone, or that get missed by not having certain traits within those trait types not having their own category that is picked. So some people might call it fair, unfair, what have you. I think it'll be better in the long run just because people will again see theirs more often. And every fox we have categorized for head and body traits, so we're not missing any fox once we kind of run through, I'll say, like the full set of categories for them. Yeah, and I think that kind of covers everything in there. So I'll pause briefly just to see tails on phrase other components that cost Foxy, they include the mission reward algorithm. As of right now, Biscuit, great question. They are not. So tail, unfreeze, other components, they're really gonna call them just cosmetics. I mean, just things to kind of tail to spend Foxy on, but unfreeze, to get as a reward, and kind of use on a fox or sell it if somebody else wants to purchase it. But yeah, in the not so distant future, we will have other consumables, to be able to use as power boosts for foxes, as one-time uses within our ecosystem. It'll take us a minute to kind of get there and figure out the mechanics to make sure we're happy with it. That'll be emissions via chest rewards too. So, but as for the current, I think tail, the tier upgrades, you already get, the chest boost if you get both of them, and then the fame boost for tier 1. So there's already specific rewards associated to that. Can we get Foxy in the meme status? Yeah, I don't know. I don't even think people understand what memes are anymore. I think we're just inundated with nonsense, and everyone just calls them memes. But no, Foxy won't be nonsense. Was the Den fame boost a thing everyone found out yesterday and realized? Like hundreds of thousands of fame on claim. I'm pretty sure when you assign out your foxes, let me double check on the missions page. Yeah. So when you go to choose your foxes or choose your den, the foxes that have the tier 1 upgrade in the top left-hand corner of their little card has the plus 25% fame boost, and then the dens, the choose den option to the right of it says plus 50% fame boost. So hopefully seen when you were assigning your foxes before, but it could easily be overlooked depending on how quickly you're doing things. So that too is kind of where, when people were asking me last week, what's the best optimization strategy for the new missions, I really don't have one for you. It depends on what your foxes are, it depends on their levels, depends on a lot of things that you want to try. Do you want to try to bring your power average up in your whole squad? Do you want to maximize like the fame from the top? Yeah, it's kind of tricky. And then the other thing to consider too, Buns, like for doing fame transfer, we did update the penalties associated with fame transfer. So I try to remind folks a couple of times in VC about it, but then also in our announcements, I think we either put it in there once or twice, about what the new updates were for that. So just something to consider if you're trying to do like a fame game with foxes from like one to another. So actual questions follow up to months. Is fameflation a concern, or is the objective to get people to level quicker and tier up? I don't know if you see any drawbacks. Yeah, actually, if you run the math on it, and there's a small chance that we tone it down a little bit, but not by much. My personal opinion is this. I think that, and I could be wrong, but people that dedicate, a year to doing, like anything should have some, kind of prestige or even to match other people that have also been doing it for a year. And there's plenty of people in our community that have been doing this for 2+ years, that might not be like high up on the leaderboard. Like there will always be a mechanism for like number one to exist, or the top three to kind of try to edge out everyone else. But for the everyday like player that's been here for 2 years plus or what have you, I mean, sure, you're probably transferring fame to other foxes and getting the mission ready and all that kind of stuff. But even if you weren't, and you had one fox that you were dedicating a lot of this time to, I feel like it should have a level associated to it that would kind of match it. So there's a few things like in the future we're going to end up doing for, like level 99 and level 120. I mean, I think will be prestigious things, neither of which have been achieved yet. So, and it's been in existence for almost 2.5 years that we've had missions. The fame rates that we have too, the one thing you have to consider is we've always been doing missions. I think the highest level that we've done a mission for is level 60, even though we have tons of foxes that are 70 plus. So any fox that's done a mission is earning still based off of a fame rate of a level 60 fox, even if they're higher. So fameflation isn't a concern. It still takes a while, especially once you hit 90 and go 90 plus, and there's no fame transfer on any foxes that's above 90. Fame transfer out, I should say, on a fox that's level 90 plus. It just turns into, more so an earning game to see who has, the best fox from one week to another. And it is an exponential scale, and there's no scale above 90 to 99. So even getting that same fame rate, with a den every week for foxes that are above 90, it still is going to take quite some time to get to, 100 plus and 120 plus. If we have to make it maybe like a little bit more of a grind, we'll tweak it, but it's actually not terrible when you look at the whole scale of experience and levels for it. Biscuit's question is correct. Yeah, every fox has their own level for success. There's no gang or group bonuses. Not yet, at least. Right now, it's just individual. Yeah, I don't know, Biscuit. Let's see how long you've been here. But yeah, there's a ton of people that have been here for 2+ years. It's crazy. I mean, it's great. It's a lot of. I mean, even if it's not hardcore in Discord everyday messaging, it's still a pretty solid commitment. So I really appreciate that too. But yeah, I mean, I think this will turn missions up a little. I think this will get more foxes showing up, and also too. I mean, we only had 70, like less than 7,500 foxes, go off on missions. So even if you have a, fame inflation for a short period of time, maybe it gets more foxes listed into missions to get fame, and there's only so many dens. I mean, it just creates a bit more like gamified of an element for people that have foxes and dens and such to be able to jump in and have some fun, take advantage of it. Yeah, I mean, the next slide that I just had in here was just the fact that our next mission is live. I know I mentioned it a few times. If you haven't launched foxes yet too, you can modify them if you want to, modify dens. But once you do lock them in, you have to wait until next week in order to get them back and in order to make adjustments to them. So I think I touched on like everything I wanted to for this week's mission. I will apologize and appreciate the flexibility of people. I know, again, this is our first like larger scale test. I know we ran into some UI issues. I know we ran into some claiming things that we had to update one of the programs for pulling foxes back correctly and making sure they could be launched properly, even if they were staked. There's going to be, on new programs and change, things that have to be tweaked and fixed. I think it was pretty minimal, but I appreciate everyone's flexibility with that. Timeline for mission items. Yeah. Right now, I think the way that I see it going is we got our missions. We're going to probably run it as is for maybe a month, 4 weeks or so. And then I think the next thing that we'll probably do is introduce like partner collections as like boosts. So other collections that are out there, especially ones that have been supportive of us and are kind of OGs, we'll probably start off with. So you'll be able to use like other NFTs coupled with your foxes for a week in a mission. That might go on for a little period of time. Let's call it, at least a month, if not two. And then probably after that is when we'll introduce mission items. We might even introduce them to chest rewards a little earlier than that. But I think for like the usage side, we want to make sure that it doesn't mess up anything from a consumable standpoint. It shouldn't, but we just have to do a little bit of testing on it, as that's also a brand new mechanic from a burn standpoint, similar to a rune, but just with a different kind of token. But yeah, I'd probably say within the next like 3-ish months, give or take, we should be in a position for mission items. Yeah. It's all good to ping FoxyDAO. Yeah, sure. I don't know if he'll respond back, but go nuts at your own risk. I don't think. People can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think he's given anyone shit for pinging him, even like when he's on. So, let alone while he's off. I still kept this slide in too. Just in case if I had to circle back to like anything. But this was from last week of just like the mission facts. I know it's a brain dump of text, but just kind of covers like some of the more specific items, and I think most of this we put into announcements and such. So, and the last thing for the mission that we have this week, right now, mission boost, mission bonus traits, hoodie 5% and beard stash 10%. So, like I said, if you haven't sent your foxes out, be sure to send them out. If you're looking to ARB, from a market standpoint, foxes that might be a little better for missions this week or in general, based off of powers they can get with their traits. I think that's going to be a thing probably in the not so distant future. Be sure to keep an eye and check out for good ARB opportunities out there.